Okay, so in any important event, brothers and sisters, we have what is called the Pouring of Libation. We ask our ancestors to gather to join us. We won't be able to do a full libation, but nonetheless, our ancestors are important. They're here anyway, but unless we really call them up, you know, the ones that we want, they will be here even more so. So they will take care and guide us in the work that we have to do. I'm going to call on the spiritual leader of the Our Kevin Revivalist movement to lead us in the Pouring of Libation. Can we please hail our spiritual leader, Brother Leader Mandaka?
Beloved brothers and sisters, we often give a little spiel before we pour libation, because we know that brothers and sisters are always coming on the road, and many of us have lost the memory of who we are in essence. Time doesn't allow, or perhaps it's circumstances that doesn't allow for us to do that this evening. So I'm going to ask us all just to open up our spirit, and we're going to just let the spirit flow. And let the Spirit speak to all our hearts and all our minds and all our souls, and just renew our being. So I'm going to ask us all to please rise to our royal African feet. Rise to our royal African feet. And we're going to give thanks for this moment. Give thanks for this evening. We say Tatenda, Medasi Pepampa. We say Sante Sana to the Creator, to the ancestors, and to all the forces of nature, allowing us to gather this evening. And we say, we give a special thanks for the presence of our Mama Bello. Can we hear that, please? Hello! Hello! And we are happy to have among us, as we said, Baba Nkosi and Mama Althea. Can we also hail them, please? Hello! We're going to open our mouths and extend our voices. We're going to move our bodies, brothers and sisters, to the rhythm of the drum. Is that right, brothers and sisters? We're going to move our bodies to the rhythm of the drum. And we're going to feel the power of the moment as we chant, as we give thanks and praises. Give thanks and praises for all mercies, great and small. We're going to do it in the Yoruba language. We say, Oshe, 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 Baba. Mudupre, Iya. Giving thanks and praises to the Mother, Father, God of the universe, for giving us this moment, giving us this evening. And pray for blessing upon our speaker, who shall be ministering to our hearts and souls this evening. Oshe. This evening, am I right? Yeah. We're all going to open our mouths and extend our vocal cords and give thanks and praises. We're going to chant those beautiful African, powerful African words of thanksgiving. We're going to do it together without any inhibition. For no one can chain a free spirit. No one can chain a free spirit. So let's make a declaration now, a declaration of liberty. free. We're free because we were born free. We're free because we were created free. We're going to open our mouths and let the words come out. Oshe, Oshe, oh, Oshe, oh, Oshe, Baba, Oshe, Oshe, oh, Oshe, oh, Oshe, Baba, Dukwe, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, iya, Dukwe, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, iya, Oshe, Oshe, oh, Oshe, oh, Oshe, Baba, Oshe, Oshe, oh, Oshe, oh, Oshe, Baba, Dukwe, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, iya, Dukwe, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, oh, Dukwe, iya. Keep going, keep going. Oshe, oh, Oshe, Baba, Oshe, the Mother, Father, God of the universe. Let's all feel the power of the moment. Africans gathered as one. It is said we are many, but many is not enough until we are one. We are thankful that we are one. One great, powerful, awesome people. The first people on the planet. The sons and daughters of Africa. We have gathered here this evening to reclaim and to reignite that powerful African spirit. We come before this sacred shrine and we humble ourselves before this sacred shrine as we give thanks and praises, as we give honor to our essence of being. Let us pour libation in the tradition of our ancestors, where we understand that we are physical, not just physical beings, but physio-spiritual beings. Yeah. We understand that the life force that is within us is immortal, it's omnipotent. Let us pour libation. Let us sing praises to our ancestors. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Jah of our creation. Tenai Mware, Tenai Mware, Tenai Mware, Mware Kumburi Rai Africa. Africa. Come, Great Spirit, come. Come and bless us. Come, Great Spirit, come. Come and be with us. We, the family of Africa. We, this family of Africa. Tendai Mware. Tendai Mware. Tendai Mware. Yoma Simba, Yoma Simba, Mother Earth, Zimamokuru, great ancestors. Unto Zimamokuru. In the tongue of the Zimamokuru, the great ancestors, Zimamokuru, Akebulan, Akebulan, Yai Mama, Yai Baba, Yai Mama, Yai Baba, Yai Tibio Masimba, Yai Tibio Zibo, Yai Tibio Pushinga, Yai Tibio Kumborero, Yai, great ancestor Mama Africa, come, great ancestor Mama Africa, come, great ancestor Mama Africa, come, we call you from the east, call you from the west, call you from the north, call you from the south, from around the circumference of the globe, from the height of Mount Kilimanjaro, and all the mountains of Mama Africa, to the depths of the river Nile, and all the waters of Mama Africa. Here we call you, here we call you, here we call you, here we call you. Come. We call the promise of Mukuru, our great ancestors, from the soil of Mama Africa, east, west, north, south, central. sisters from ancient times, the ancient ones and those recently past. We call upon the pioneers of culture and civilization, those who gave science and technology to the world, mathematics, language and communication, architecture, astrology, astronomy. We call upon our great ancestors, our wise ancestors, our powerful ancestors. Call upon them in this moment, in this time, to imbibe us with their awesome and powerful spirits. We command, as we call upon our ancestors, we command ownership of time, space, and circumstance. We will reclaim our ownership of time and space so that we can command the changes of time. We will, as African people, bind ourselves together as one united, universal cosmic force, unstoppable, insurmountable, invincible. Let us, at this point, brothers and sisters, just call upon the names of ancestors. Before we do that, we just call upon the ancestors who gave the science of healing to the world. All the prophets of healing from Imhotep to Baba Sali and beyond. In a prayer that we will be inspired by the ancient healing arts so we can heal ourselves again. We call upon the warriors of our history. The Zulu warriors, Xhosa warriors, Ndebele warriors, Kikuyu warriors, Masai warriors, Ashanti warriors, the Ga warriors, Iwe warriors, Ejau warriors, the Yoruba warriors, Akan warriors, call upon the Ga warriors. We call upon the Igbo warriors, Tigray warriors, warriors of Palmares, Haiti. We call upon the warriors of Sharpeville, Soweto, Rastafari warriors, Black Panther warriors, Black Power warriors. We call upon those warrior spirits to imbibe us, warriors of the nation of Islam, all those who fight and shed their blood for our liberation. We call upon them at this time, in this moment. Let us call upon the names of ancestors that we know, we are blessed to know. Let's call upon the warrior queens, the queen mother goddesses of our history first. So we call upon Queen Hatshepsut, Queen Kaina, Amos Nefertari, Queen T. We call upon Queen Makeda, Yasantewa, Queen Fatima, Queen Felicity. We call upon Nani of the Maroons, Nandi. We call upon Amy Jakes Garvey, Amy Ashwood Garvey. We call upon Henrietta Vinton Davis, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Uya Nehanda, Madame Demina, Afurika Bantu. Let us call upon the King Baba, Mama Betty Shabazz. Let us call upon the King Baba, warrior kings of our history. Those who lived their lives and gave their lives so we could have a better life. Dare we forget them? We call upon the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Patrice Lumumba, Dedan Kimanti, King Shaka. We call upon King Prempe. We call upon Walter Rodney, Maurice Bishop, Martin Luther King Jr., Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Toure, Thomas Sankara. We call upon Dessalines, Bookman, Macandal, Uyayi Christophe. We call upon all the warrior kings of our history. And just take a quick moment, beloved, to just call upon the ancestors of our own personal lives. Bring them together in this space as one communal force. Let us call upon our mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, because we are one family. So call them, shout the name of your ancestor. Any ancestor you want to shout from your lineage. Mommy me, fathers, Uncle Sid. Call them brothers and sisters. Call them out.
brothers. Also, let me take the opportunity to say another of our institutions is Al Kebel and Blessings. If you would like a naming ceremony for your child or a rebirth ceremony for yourself, also a passing over ceremony or marriage ceremony, then again, come and speak to us. 10-9. Without further ado, brothers and sisters, I'm going to take this opportunity to bring forward a very important person, Mama Bayyinah Bello. She's an Haitian historian, teacher, writer, and humanitarian worker. As a founder of Fondation Félicité, she conducts research to uncover the hidden history of Africans in Haiti. Her work has led her to become a professor of history at the States University. Following the earthquake in 2010, Mama Bello founded Friends of Fondation Félicité, an organization dedicated to assisting the rebuilding of the country. Mama Bello is well-traveled, bringing a vast African diaspora experience, especially having lived in Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and other countries in West Africa. Let me, without further ado, welcome forward Mama Bayyinah Bello.
Lazima tutashinda bila shaka, lazima tutashinda bila shaka, lazima tutashinda bila shaka. All power to our people.
All power to our people.
Yes.
My name is Bayyinah Bello, mother of 4, grandmother of 9, great-grandmother of 3. What I take pride in is not the schools I've gone to. It's not the diplomas. But it is where I come from.
Yes.
It is the roots that have created the woman that is before you. It is the philosophy that brings me each day to the next. It is the passion and the ability to resist to all adversity. Those are the things in this existence that brings joy and dignity to the life that I've been given.
Well,
I thank you for inviting me here today. With the permission of all those who have gone before me, with the permission of all the divine forces that created the earth, that created Africa, that created the Americas, and that enable people like Malli Jean, Lieutenant Stanley Belair, Grande Pélagie, Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, to snatch from the claws of the most horrible and inhumane Euro-Christian slavery system, snatched our island and create or recreate Haiti. I greet you with their permission, with their blessings. I hope and pray that I will be guided to speak words that will nourish you, to speak words that will enable you to tap to the power within you, to go in contact with the divine in you, because there is no divine except that which lives within each one of you. I thank all the people of Akebulan who brought us here and who opened this seance with such powerful, passionate, and mobilizing sounds and movements. It is important that we regain our own ways. And our way, us, the original people, is a way of life where singing, dancing, moving is continuous and eternal. There is no life where there is no sound. There is no life where there is no movement.
Word sound.
Everything that we do, it is so sad when we look at some of our own people, so terribly deformed, that even if the entire room, the entire city is singing and dancing, they stand almost like dead wood in water. Please do not allow this to happen to you. Don't let yourself be a zombie. Zombies are people who are apparently alive, but yet has no life, no passion, no love, no dignity, no discipline, no respect, no will, no ability to bring change and transformation. Zombies are people who repeat what others say, but are unable to feel what others are about. Please, let us give life to ourselves.
That's right.
We already know in our artistry, ISIS, after they cut up Osiris into many pieces, spent lots of time collecting the parts.
Right. That's right.
Then went about assembling the body. But she went further. She brought this dead body to passion. And with this passion that they shared, made herself pregnant of that which will continue the life that they thought that they had destroyed.
Yeah, that's right.
That is your story. They think they have destroyed us.
Yes, come on.
They think they have cut us into pieces. They think they have spread the pieces across the planet. Hidden parts here, underwater, in forests, in places that nobody can find them. But the ISIS in us can and will find each piece. Can and will assemble the whole, all the pieces into one body. And we'll go further. ISIS will breathe passion, not just life, passion into the dead body, attraction into the dead body, and make herself bring into her womb a child born of this passion, of this power, of this dignity. You, ISIS lives in you. You need to get in touch with ISIS within you. And you see, you might find that ISIS is very far away, We're talking about something that happened over 25 to 30,000 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Oh, that's too far. I can't do that. That's what people then were able to do. Well, let me tell you about a woman in Haiti in 1806. When they assassinated the liberator of Haiti, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, they too cut him into pieces. How many? I don't know. But they called soldiers 2 by 2 and demanded that each soldier take their guns. So 2 guns. They cut the left leg, put it on the 2 guns. And they say to go at such and such corner and drop that piece there. The right leg, the right thigh, the right forearm, the right arm, the head, the heart, etc., etc., etc. And each time, one soldier would stay to make sure that piece is not taken by anybody and he will not be buried. Only dogs and vultures could eat them. That was what the criminals decided would happen. But there was a very interesting woman called Malli Jean de Basile. And Malli Jean de Basile, a woman who had been a soldier in Dessalines' army, decided that this would not end that way. She dressed up in her uniform, put a dress, a skirt over her uniform, took her gun, her pistol, put it on her hip, and she took to the street to search for the pieces. And when she found the first piece, she could have just shot the soldier, but she didn't. She said she didn't want to mix Dessalines' blood with no criminal's blood. So she went on a, what do you call, corps à corps. You know, she went and fought the man face to face, body to body, with her gun there. She disarmed him and told him, I give you your life, I keep your weapon, you go away. And then she took the piece, tied on a scarf, put it on her head, and go and look for them, and did what had to be done, and buried him. Our street is continuous. It doesn't stop. It doesn't even start anywhere. You could pick a spot and begin your art street there. If you're writing the biography of Bayyinah, you could start with when she went to primary school. You could start with when she was born. You could start with when she married. You could start with when she had children. So you, the writer, can choose any beginning for your story. But the story doesn't begin any of the places you start. I did not begin the day I was born. How about the 9 months in my mother's belly? How about the time I spent in my father's groins? How about that race I won when my father sent over 1 million sperm in my mom? And then they all raced, and I won, because I'm here, the others are dead. So when you're thinking of yourself as someone who has no victory, think again. You won when you became an embryo in your mom's womb. You won when you were born, because there were 1,000 reasons that could have make it so you die in the process. It is said that between birth and 5 years old, more than 52% of boys die. Girls are stronger between birth and 5 years old. Between 5 and 18, boys take so many risks, so many chances. Boys die more than girls. So when we are looking at people who are born, by the time we're 21, the number of girls is way beyond the number of boys. In fact, that's one reason insurance companies, when boys and girls turn 18, the boys' insurance for car, the boys' car insurance costs more than the girls. Because they know the boy will take more risk. He has greater chances of having accidents. All of this is knowledge. We need to know in order to make good decisions. But let's go back. Malli Jean, what did she do? Did she really take all this risk just to save one person? Is that what the story is telling us? Or ISIS? Did she go through all this trouble for all those years, collecting every piece, just to save Osiris? No, it's more than that. It's talking about a people. Liberators are representative of a people.
That's right. Word sound. Come on.
So let's look at Haitians today. We have hundreds of thousands of us in Chile, hundreds of thousands of us in Brazil, millions of us in the US, hundreds and thousands of us here, there, everywhere. Didn't they cut us up?
Yes.
Didn't they spread the parts all over the planet?
Definitely.
Is the case desperate?
Absolutely.
Or are you the Malli Jean de Basile who's gonna collect the parts and put us back together again?
Come on.
When you study our history, don't just repeat what you read.
Come on.
Go look at it in depth.
Yes.
Look at what it could mean, all the different positions. If I look at a story from the north, I will not understand it the same way if I'm looking at it from a southern point of view. If I look at it from eastern, I will not understand it the same way from a western point of view. So, Malli Jean de Basile, the ISIS of 1806. Where is the ISIS of 2018? The model is traced. The way to do is there. What do you think was the sentiment that most motivated Malli Jean de Basile or ISIS? What was the primary sentiment that motivated these two women to do what they did?
Love.
Love, certainly love has a lot to do with it. But again, the primary thrive, what was it?
Liberation, freedom, life.
Legacy.
No, definitely not life.
Respect.
Excuse me?
Respect.
Respect. Respect is not certainly as an objective, as a goal, as that's not the word I want. Intention. Certainly continuation is part of it. But on a primary level, passion is what moves her. Not just love. Passion moves people. Passion makes a mother, your child is under a car, a little 80-pound woman will pick up the end, one part of that car with one hand and take the child out from under the car. Passion will make her do this, not love. So if you are living as a, so there's a talk out there today. Well, let me see what it's all about. Yeah, I'll go sit there. I ain't doing nothing. Why not? If you come here with that attitude, you're not going to go out with much. But if you want to grab information, you want to grab principles that will make you grow, make you understand, make you be able to be Marie Sainte de Basile or be ISIS tomorrow morning, then you need to listen with passion. Passion is what I demand. Passion is necessary. When the going gets tough, if you have no passion, you go nowhere. When you're running an organization and you have no passion, you go into the routine. Yeah, okay, brothers and sisters, all right, meeting. What you say? Well, you know, I don't agree with you. What you say, brother? Well, so, okay, well, you know, why not? All right, we could do it that way. Please. Then you don't need to do. Your organization is not going anywhere. And that's one thing that makes me very happy being here. I look at this organization, I see people with passion, people who believe, people who want to do, people who are trying. Yes, it's hard. Yeah, they're lacking tons and tons and tons. But I see a determination to go somewhere. And that is what I admire here. And that is what I don't see in this room. And I want to see it. I think we need help. Today is Tuesday. That's the day at home, that's the day of the divinity of Ezeli Danto. Ezeli Danto is the principle of female power and accomplishment. This is a woman of passion and determination. This is a woman who gets things done instantly. So I want everybody standing on their feet. And I want to hear your feet. See, I don't ask you to say anything. I want to hear your feet and you will hear my voice. But mark my sound with your feet. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Si pagelo, uzela kelusion. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Zilio, I don't hear. Kaila modeuze. Zilio, kaila modeuze. Si pagelo, uzela kelusion. What am I saying? Ezili, the house need to be cleaned up. The house need to be, we need water to clean out our house. And if there is no water, then use perfume. Let's go. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Ezilio, kaila modeuze. Si pagelo, uzela keloshon. Thank you. So we see the Empire of Haiti, created by Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Jacques, Emperor First of Haiti, comma, Empire of Freedom. That's what we created, October 8, 1804. Haiti, Empire of Freedom. Everybody who writes about our country never say anything about empire. We didn't create no republic. We created an empire. There is no other, no higher title for a nation than empire.
Yeah.
Next is kingdom.
Yeah.
Next is republic. When an empress stands somewhere, everybody who comes to greet the empress has to bow. The empress bows to no one. The emperor bows to no one. When a queen is somewhere, presidents have to bow and kneel to greet the queen. But the queen doesn't bow to presidents. So you have to understand, the founders of Haiti were thinking very, very profoundly and far. So when they would find themselves in front of anybody else, they would not have to bow to anyone.
Yeah.
And perhaps some of you might not have seen it, but the only time the queen of this house bowed, she bowed to whom? The Empress of Ethiopia. Let's hear it for the Emperor and Empress of Ethiopia. The only time in her over 60-year reign that she bowed was to Emperor and Empress of Ethiopia. So when you're making choices, you have to know what you're doing. We're going to look at another very interesting group of people, group of female warriors in Haiti. These were children. They were between the ages of 12 and 18. They were in what you call these schools, when you go to school, to the nuns and priests, to the nuns school. They were at a convent. They lived there and went to school there. And these children started learning Vodou while they were at the convent. And every night they would meet to practice the songs and dance and learn the power. When the nuns realized what was going on, the nuns decided they would make them stop by giving them lots of chores during the day. Make them scrub every floor, make them do this, that, and the other, so they would be knocked down. So when they go to bed, they have to go to sleep. Didn't stop nothing. Améthyste was the leader. She was 17 years old. And she would, every night, after even if it's half hour, an hour sleep, wake up everybody so they go practice. The nun tried everything they could, didn't change anything. And when they felt they were ready, the children changed from the uniforms they were wearing. They put their national outfit, put sandals, dressed up in outfit that would not be allowed in a convent, had their horses hidden in the woods, and at 4 a.m. in the morning, singing out loud in the yard, grabbed their horses and say they're going to join the revolution. They were girls between 12 and 17, led by Améthyste. When we don't know our history, we don't understand a lot of things. Tous Toussaint's youngest child was Saint Jean. He was barely 9. When they arrested Toussaint, his father, Suzanne, his mother, every member of the family they could put their hands on, they also arrested the 9-year-old Saint Jean. France is supposed to be the country of freedom and democracy and liberty, etc., etc. But it didn't stop them from arresting babies. They brought Saint Jean to jail. Every time they were bringing food to Suzanne, the mother, they would tell her, "Today you're going to be very happy. We cooked Saint Jean's heart for you. Today you're going to be really glad we cooked Saint Jean's arms for you." The one walked into the jail. She weighed 425 pounds. When she left, almost 3 years later, she weighed 89 pounds. She did not have any nails, neither fingers nor toes. And she had every joint in her body broken. They tortured her every way, in every form. These are the people who are talking about Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we repeat after them like fools because we don't know our history.
Come on, man. Come on.
They killed Saint Jean, Toussaint's child. They also killed King Henry I's child, François Henri, who was barely 11, studying in France. Napoleon wrote a letter to King Henry and told him he shouldn't participate in the revolution in Haiti, or he would not see his son again. King Henry responded, "My wife is gorgeous. We will have many children."
Wow. That's a serious thing.
So Napoleon slaughtered the child, starved the child to death. So there is no such thing as they're too little, too young.
Come on. Yeah.
And it is in the knowledge of our history. No, it's not because I'm Haitian and I'm mispronouncing. It is a choice. I do not say history or his story, because there never was any place on this planet where men were exclusively making history while women sat by and look.
Come on.
Or maybe God didn't create women yet. You never know. He was having trouble removing a rib or whatever it is from Adam. We must regain our history. Our history. Whether it's Jamaican, St. Croix, St. Kitts, Nivens, St. Lucia, Dominica, it doesn't matter. Wherever Africans are on the planet, this is our history and we need to know it. The more we know, the more we'll know how to defend ourselves.
Right.
Imagine, you were raised, I'm talking to the ladies right now, to the queens in this room. You were raised, especially you, gorgeous one. You were raised as a little girl knowing all about all the queens and empresses in your history. You were raised about knowing all the great military people, female, in your history. do you think you would have a problem with men hitting you?
Come on, come on.
If you know who you are, and only your artistry will make you know who you are. I remember when I first married, I was barely 18. I don't remember what he asked me. And my response was, when Dessalines asked Clara Rose to marry him, she gave him conditions. Which country are you going to liberate?
Hey!
That will make it.
I want to know where I'm answer.
Dessalines whooped the Spanish army.
Yeah.
And he beat down the British army. And he knocked off the French army. And when he asked her was to marry him, she says, well, if I'm to marry you, one, you will recognize all the children you had with these other women. Two, you will give the mothers the means to raise their children properly. Three, your enemies will not be my enemy. It's not because you're not talking to somebody that I'm not going to talk to someone. He says, well, you don't understand what I'm doing. I'm running a war here. She said, yes, precisely. Wars, politics, full of lies. So, if in a home, one person makes a mistake, if there's only one head, when that head makes a mistake, the home crumbles. But if there are two heads in a home, if one makes a mistake, the other one can correct it.
That's right.
He said, you're right. Write the contract. I will sign.
Read man.
You have to be able to argue your point.
Alright?
She didn't say, well, if you don't want to, I'm not going to. No. Losing your control, losing your temper, getting angry, it's not going to get you anywhere. You got to think through what you want to do and then have the proper language to clearly demonstrate the reasoning and the good sense of what you say.
Come on. Come on.
In Haiti's revolution, we had many women lieutenants, captains, generals. In fact, under King Henry I, it was a sister who was at the head of the army. They called her King General, not Queen. She was the most powerful woman of that time. Another great woman was Malli Jean. She had a troop of over 1,000 women. They did all the spying, because let me tell you, don't ever put in your head that you can win a war if you don't have a spy system.
Whoa. Yeah.
Impossible.
Come on.
The spying was in her hand. At one point, she had over 2,000 spies working for her across the world. So when France is putting 40 boats at sea to come and crush us, she's got the info before the boats arrive at home. When Germany is making a move, we got the info. Today, none of our countries have any kind of a spy system. Nothing. Our military or our police forces are decorations. Decorations. Don't need to run them. Decorations, anybody can take decoration and put it up on the wall. Doesn't matter. Change nothing to the reality. So Malli Jean was the woman who ran that. She also was the woman who assured the security of people like Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Prior to killing him on October 17, 3 other attempts were made, but she was giving security, and each time the attempts failed. She is also a woman who used disguise. You would meet her at 10 o'clock, she's a black woman, big fat black woman. By 12, you meet her, she's an 18-year-old mulatto girl. By 6, she's an old black man, toothless. You never know when you're in the presence of Malli Jean. She had a whole team of people who would change their appearances continuously. That is necessary if you're running a real war. We cannot always bring our faces everywhere. We cannot be afraid. Sometimes, some of the men here, if we're really into a war, into a struggle, serious stuff, well, sometimes you'll have to be girls. And sometimes the girls will have to be men. It all depends on what you're doing. But you must be, in your mind, have that flexibility that you will take whatever form the struggle demands. You are not limited when it comes to appearances. You have no limits. If you have to be a panther, a dog, a snake, who cares? If that will bring the struggle further. So as we see, the Haitian Revolution was a success because it was a family affair. The children played their parts, the women played their parts, the men played their parts, the military played their parts, the civilians played their parts. Everybody was involved. Many mothers, like Captain Guillemette Charlot, for example, she made her special dress. She had 2 young girls, and she didn't have anybody to leave them with. So she made these big skirts with very strong pockets. So she would put the children in her pocket with holes in them, so the children are able to walk in certain movement. And at other times, if she needs to go faster and they can't keep up, she just pick up the skirt, tie it up higher, and she walks with the children on her side.
Martin.
That's what fighting is all about. Creativity. And I will close with this. What gives you the ability to use your ultimate creativity to have the absolute diversity is your spirituality.
Word.
I'll give you a personal example. In 1986, I was scheduled to travel on February 10th. My ticket was already purchased. But I woke up on January 30th from a dream that says, empty out your house, make 2 bags, and get out of here. I woke up 2, 3 in the morning. I am living in a house that's about 32 bedrooms, 32 rooms. It is a school, a boarding school, and my living quarters. How can I empty out this house in the few hours between now and the next plane? Well, believe it or not, I did. Called up friends, have people come, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, come quickly, come with your car, come with whatever you have. Okay, take 100 books. The library had 4,000 books. I had to make sure all the books were gone. All the the school materials, the desk, the chairs, the tables, everything had to be cleared out. 7:30, I was at the airport, going to catch the first flight. Now I have to change my ticket. I'm scheduled to go on February 10th. Can't change it. Gotta buy another ticket if I want to leave today. And even then, there is no reservation. I will have to be on standby. Okay, I paid for my ticket. I'm on standby. And as I pass to give my passport, at the time in Haiti, when you have to travel, there is a big black book, and they have to look at your passport number. If your passport is in this book, then you can't travel. So when I get to this guy and he's checking for my passport number and he doesn't see it, and he takes my passport and stamp it, as he's stamping it, somebody's coming in with the passport number written on a piece of paper for him to put on the book. I saw the number and recognized it, and my legs start turned to but the guy didn't see it right away. So even though he stamped my passport, I can't move because my legs turned jelly. And I'm talking and talking, trying to regain myself. And the person behind me said, well, lady, go on, you finished. But of course they don't know that I just can't move. So in the end, I managed to squish myself. I said, well, you can, So they passed until I regained my legs and went and hid in the bathroom of the airport. Well, my 10 o'clock flight was delayed to 11. At 11, it's delayed for 12. At 12, it's delayed for 1. Finally, I get into the plane, and a military guy came up and said, you, down. Of course, I thought it was me, but it wasn't. So that's how I got out. Emptied out a huge house, beds, everything in less than 6 hours. Of course, I lost everything. But I was guided to save my life. When they came to wreck the house, there was nobody. Most of all, not just my life, all the children who I had under my responsibility will return to their families. But if I didn't have this dream, so when you're not spiritually connected, a lot of things can happen to you.
That's right, that's right.
A lot of things that you could easily avoid if you're connected to the divine in you. That's what spirituality is about. And please, don't mix up spirituality and religion. Not the same thing. Religion has done a hierarchy. Actually, religion is a military system.
That's right.
Simple. You have to understand, when you enter a religion, you enter a military system. And whatever the chief says, that's what happens. And you're a soldier in there, and you will go wherever they send you, in whatever direction. Whereas spirituality, regardless of what structure it has, you are always responsible for what is happening here. You have power in your spirituality. No one can take that away from you. You are never a zombie in a spiritual system. Okay, I'll pass this 10 good bill from Haiti with Lieutenant Sanit Belair, a great woman of the Haitian Revolution, among many great female officer, a lieutenant, so that everyone can see her. So, while you're looking at this, and you're going inside yourself, looking for worthwhile questions, questions that will enrich all of us. Do I have permission to take questions, or am I?
Let's give Mama Bello. Yes, you do. Brothers and sisters, raise your hand or stand up. We have to do it quick though, so get the questions coming forward. Or comments. But please
we'll first take questions.
Sir?
Then we'll take comments.
Okay.
Let's not mix them up.
Okay.
Questions, please. Yes, sir.
Mama, thank you for coming. You're welcome here anytime.
We haven't got a mic.
No.
If you just stand and if you don't mind.
I'd like to hear a little, I'm sure everybody, a little about Tontoya. I didn't hear anything about Tontoya.
I'm sorry?
Tontoya?
Tontoya, the woman who raised Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Thank you. That's a beautiful question. Tontoya is the woman who raised Jean-Jacques Dessalines. This woman came from Dahomey. In Dahomey, she was a military officer. She held the title Agbaraya. And when she was captured by the Euro-Christian slave system, she explained that there were more than 20 men who encircled her while she was in the sacred forest. And in the sacred forest, you can't have no guns. You have just a little knife so you can cut the plants you need to make medicine. So that's when she was captured. But she said before they could take her, she had knocked down over 12 of them. And then the others took net, what you catch fish with. All right, they took a net, throw on her, that's how they grabbed her and took her to the boat. When she arrived in Haiti, she didn't take long to run away from the plantation and go in the forest. She wanted to mount an army to crush slavery, but she didn't find anybody who was willing to do it with her. So she decided that she was going to leave the world. So she started to collect the plants so she would go. And that's when she met a woman about to deliver a baby. So she helped her. And after this woman delivered the child, woman felt life was going out of her. So she took her son, she handed to Toya. She said, please raise him, make him know freedom. And that's how she passed, the mother passed the child to Toya, who raised this child, started training him militarily from the time he was 4 years old. So they are never too young. When you have an objective, that shows us a woman with a clear objective. She's raising this child, so this child will bring freedom.
That's right.
And success story. 30-some years later, Dessalines brings freedom to Haiti. Tontoya is alive to see independence, to see Dessalines crowned emperor, and she passed on June 12, 1805.
Mama?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you just talk a little bit about the veve?
A veve.
The veve.
Thank you. A veve is a symbol drawn in our spiritual system representing the different principles or laws that exist in our system. For example, the veve of, I told you earlier, whose day is it? Oh, some people really know. Right. Ezuli Danto. So her veve is a heart with a huge M across it with a dagger. Danto does not play. When you're doing something, Danto is the power, the female power that sets objectives and accomplishes them. So when you're walking with Danto, there is no procrastination, there is no nonsense. So the veva is the representation. Each force has a representation. So that's what we call a veva.
Please come forward, just put your hands or stand or...
Yes,
give
yes,
your name
sir.
as well.
Go ahead.
Great. That's a word that I understand is used in Haiti in terms of storytelling time, am I right?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Grit.
Oh, crick crack.
A quick crack.
Crick crack.
What I'm in awe about is the importance of stories. And it seems like it's part of the whole legacy of telling the whole story. So is it that you all get your whole review of what happened during the time and just keeping it fresh in everybody's mind? Is that the system that went on?
No, unfortunately, the school system was created by the enemy. The church created the school. So the school is not there for Haitians to know themselves. It is a school system that is there so you will become a good zombie inside the church. So some of us make the exception. And when we became aware of the situation, we decided to start walking and collecting the stories, whether those that are already written in different journals or meeting with very old people like centenarians. We're blessed that Haiti has people that live 110, 120, 132 is the oldest person I know. And one such woman, I met her and she introduced me to her baby who was 108. So thanks to these people, you know, when you have a country that is 200 years old and you meet a person who's 132 years old, you're meeting someone who is as old as more than half the age of the country. Wow. So they know.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
1 and 2, sir. 1, 2, down at the back. Please give your names as well, it would help.
No,
the one
brother at the back first.
I say bonnet.
Honneur, respect. Bravo. On a forme, on a fait soleil la clé.
Alright, shut up now, bro.
First question I'd like to ask, I'd like to know about your T1. And I'd like to know how you feel about the civilians compromising themselves in regards of Marie. The civilians compromising his, let's say, his principles with the enemy. Because she said, I remember watching the talk, he said that she brought in the enemy into the headquarters. His wife, the civilians.
I did not say that.
You didn't say that? I thought you said that his wife took people on the battlefield and brought them into the headquarters.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. You're mixing things up. What was said in other saying, not tonight, I didn't mention it, but she used to go to the battlefield. She never went to fight. Her mission, Marie-Claire was Dessalines' wife, she made clear choices. Mission is education, health, and justice. She's not into fighting. Her husband is the military guy. So when a fight is over in the area, there are plenty of wounded people that are on the ground. Prior to being his wife, she used to just go to the battlefield and collect wounded people, bring them to her home to treat them. And she didn't care if you were white, if you were enemy or not enemy. Once she married him, she no longer could do this. So she would take our people to heal. But she still would heal people, anybody on the battlefield, on the ground. If she sees somebody that she can help, she would still help them. But she could not bring them into her home. That was what they agreed to do on that.
She said that's dangerous for us now as a people to bring in the wounded, regardless of race.
Yes. In fact, Dessalines, in his speech of 1804, January 1st, 1804, said, these people are so wicked. Even if you see them in bad situation and you would take them and heal them, bring them into your home, soon you will find them organizing dissension and disagreement among the members of the family.
That's right.
Pas de quoi. Ou bien non, puis en tradition, ou mérité. When someone says merci or thank you, you deserve it, is what we say. Ou mérité.
Mama, I'm truly impressed with your discourse.
Please speak a little louder.
I'm truly impressed with your discourse. I would like to take it to another area, but maybe you didn't mention it, but enlighten me. I'm speaking as someone with a third background in neuroscience. There was a time when the people used to say about Haiti, this question of zombies being brought back. It's only recently we found out about the neurotoxin that was used in the pufferfish we've got up today. And that is a neurotoxin that actually puts you in a state of zombie-like state. But people are arguing that it's a spiritual thing about being able to zombieize somebody, if I may. Could you enlighten me on that, please?
Well, the greatest number of zombies are not done within voodoo.
Okay.
Churches create zombies. Religions create zombies. Colonizers and slavers create zombies.
Come on!
So, first we need to understand that, to be clear. When you have a people, an entire people, who's unable to determine what is their collective interest, then you have a zombified people.
That's right.
Dogs know their collective interests. Birds know their collective interests. How can we be people and not know our collective interests? We are zombified. Universities create zombies.
Come on, Mom!
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. That's right.
In fact, in the 70s, we used to say, when you have a BS, you have bullshit. MS, you have more shit. PhD, piled higher and deeper. Now, that being said, let's look at zombification, a science created in Haiti within our spiritual system. Zombification, yes, there's a number of products, and that fufu fish is part of what is used. So when they prepare something for you with that, you lose your ability to have a will. You can function, but you can't say, I'm going there. If I say to you, stand up on the left leg, and I go out, you will stand up on your left leg until I return and give you another instruction. So, it's very evident, but the zombification that you guys are living on a daily basis, that we are living across the planet, whether in Africa or outside of Africa, we are in a zombification system. But what in 1983, the University of Chicago had been for over 80 years sending 10 scientists to Haiti with the purpose of finding the zombification recipe. Every Every year for more than 80 years, the university sends 10 new people in Haiti. So, when it got to the 86th year, a Dr. David got the recipe. When he went back to the university and gave them the formula, they gave him $2 million. When the recipe is tested and they have refined it into a medicine, actually they make what they call anesthesia. It enables them, they use it as anesthesia. If you have to be operated, you have several problems. You have heart problems, you have hip problem, you have whatever, you have 4 or 5 things, then they can give you this anesthesia, and the heart doctor's team comes and work with you on you for 4 or 5 hours. They don't close you. Then the ulcer team comes and do what they have to do. Then the hip team comes and do what they have to do. You could stay open for over 24 hours. That is how potent the anesthesia that is made from the zombification recipe is. And then they'll sew you up. Now, the most important thing about anesthesia, for years, the biggest problem, when they operate on somebody, you will hear the doctors say, the operation went well, the patient died. If everything went well, how come the patient died? Because the most dangerous moment is when you're coming out of anesthesia. That's when something goes wrong. Now, with the recipe, the zombification, absolutely no risk. They put you to sleep for no matter how long. They do everything they need to do. And then they just need a sound, a music to win you back. No risk of dying from the coming back. But you'll never read that they give credit to IT for having given them this recipe. The homegrown who gave this Dr. Davis the recipe, you know what he got? $20 and a watch the man had that he didn't want anymore. So, whose fault? Ours. You sell yourself short. We're forever doing things without establishing the conditions in advance. So, scientifically, it was science when it is science when I should use it, and it is still science when other people use it. No difference. And it is a clear thing. I don't have any doubt when I meet someone who is zombified. The person has no will. But otherwise, no problem. He can hear, he can walk, he can, and you have ways that you have to treat it. You're welcome.
Yeah. Sister, I would like to thank you very much for bringing us to another level in terms of our understanding of the Haitian struggle and revolution. What I would like to ask is, when we were active in the Black Panther movement here in England, one of the things that we instituted was study. So every week we would have a study on a book. And the book that we studied most intensively was C.L.R. James's book, The Black Jacobins. Because the struggle of the people in Haiti and the revolution that the people in Haiti made was really a kind of hallmark for us to give us the strength to face what we are facing in England here. What I would like to know is, and I recommend it for all organizations really to look at the struggle in Haiti as a model for how we ourselves could gain the strength and the understanding of the kind of sacrifices that were made and that we need to make the changes that we need to make. But what I would like to know is what other literature from Haiti you can recommend to us to follow on with the Black Jacobins, because it reaches a certain point and we don't have an understanding of how the Haitian Revolution was sold out or was bought out or was damaged as a result of, we know that it's a result of the colonial system outside, the whole world coming down on Haiti and Haiti having to repay the debt. But we would like to read more and of our people in England to understand and study this thing more, because the studying of the Haitian people's struggle is really our liberation.
Actually, Haitians write in Haitian or in French. So one of the things we do need to bring our struggle to a higher level is to establish a translation system that will enable us to make sure when something is produced in Haitian or French, it is quickly put into English, it is put into Spanish, into Portuguese, all the languages that our people use. That's one of the important steps that we need to go into. The Fondation Félicité has this as a project, but the money is not yet in sight. But it is necessary. Now, the next best thing are since a lot of us travel across the planet, so there are Haitians living in the US that are writing, and there are African Americans who do very good work on writing about our history. Also, we have a brother, Clinton Henton from Jamaica, who writes about Haiti's revolution. There are many brothers across. Dr. Scobie used to do a lot of writing, a lot of studies on that. So there are elements available, but they are difficult to find. And understand this clearly. When a writer self-produces, whatever money you have, if your money can only produce 100 books, so even though you produce a book, but there's only 100 or 500 or 1,000, then very quickly there are no more. So we really need to set up a structure that would enable our information to circulate better. But there are information. For example, The Irritated Genie by Jacob Carruthers is a very good book about the Haitian Revolution. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Itinerary of a Revolutionary, is a very good book by Bertoni Dupont. So there are books, but they are difficult. They're not that easy to find. But you know what? If you don't search, if you don't look, if you don't sweat, you're not gonna get what you need.
But I've got a two-part question, very brief. The first part is similar to my brother's question in terms of bringing up the name of Cecile Fatima and asking for some insight on her. And we often...
And then your life is over there. Once you talk about spirituality, it's part of everything you do. For example, on the battlefield, a lot of people may not choose to say it, but there might be a big, deep hole, a ravine, at some point. We need to cross it. Well, 500, 800 will volunteer to drop themselves in that hole, and then the others will take their horse and cross. Do you think someone who's not spiritual is going to do this? Okay, so spiritual is everywhere. When we're going to battle, you have to take special bath. You have to do special prayers. You have to do special sacrifices. You may have to go weeks without contact with your spouse. You may have to go days without food or without water. Men like Toussaint Louverture, if he's going on a campaign for 20 days, he would only eat cassava and water. His wife would make, he's going away for 20 days, the wife will make 20 cassavas and give to him. And he will every day eat one cassava and a glass of water. You think that's it? It's because it's part of his spirituality. That's the way he was most powerful, not eating big plates of food. That's part of his regulation for his spiritual power. So spirituality is not over here and then other things over there. Even colors, depending on what you're doing. Why am I wearing blue today? Because that is Dantor's color. And I wanted Dantor to be the one to speak to you and transmit what you need to know, so it will make your heart determined. It will make you able to use the information to build your own divine power. Whether you know it or not, you come in front of me as my husband, Ogu Badagri, dressed in black and red.
I was aware.
So, spirituality is everything. So there isn't a spirituality there, and then there is nothing over here. Okay? So when we look at our R-Stream, they're not going to tell you this was the spiritual move and that was the military move and this was the political move. No, it is when you read and you go inside of yourself, and then you're going to draw the principle of spirituality in the information that they give you. I hope it's clear.
We're coming very close to our close, and we want to hear from Brother Leader Bandaka for our closing address. So the 2 hands I've just seen. Oh my God, it's 4. Right. I'm going to have to ask you to really self-edit unless somebody wants to decline, because time is very, very short. So I don't know if you want to decline.
I want the sister to I want to hear the sister's question.
It's not a question.
Sorry, no, what I was going to say is, it's not a question.
No.
All right. Are the other 3? One moment. Are the other 3 questions?
Yeah.
Are they questions? Questions? Right. Can we just hear the question? Sorry, hear the question and we see if we can merge the answer. Be very tight though. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, yes, it's 1, 2, 3. There's another hand. There's 5. I'm really going to have to kind of bring this. Sorry.
First of all, thank you for coming to minister to us. It's a blessing to hear you. My question is on the basis of relating it to the here and now. When I'm around my peers, many of them are Christian, and there's a pastor who's quite privileged. Yes, the question. A pastor right now is talking about women and very demeaning, and he's basically saying that women are not there to teach the gospel. They're not there to bring the word of God. What you've presented to us is something very different, and the importance of our sisters, which is the best way to approach speaking to our sisters now who seem to be very indoctrinated with European ideals and ideas. And second question is to do with voodoo. How important is voodoo to us in 2018, given the history of voodoo to our enemies?
Can we hear the other 2 questions, please?
There's a lot of talk on YouTube when they're talking about Haiti, that the Islamic influence, the Islamic influence of that brought about
Bookman.
The fight for liberation in Haiti. Yeah, I want to know if this is true, and to what extent, if it is true.
My question is pretty much the same, because I was wondering if Bookman really was Muslim. I wonder why he'd be in a ritual that had a pig in it. The two of them doesn't make sense, but a lot of people are now trying to use that.
Okay.
My sister over there had managed a long time. Over there.
Well, okay. Is there a question?
Yeah, just a question. In terms of spirituality, I was wondering...
Speak up, please.
Stand up, maybe your voice.
Listen.
Stand up.
When you were on the battlefield, you had 5,000 troops, you had to give them orders, and you didn't need no microphone to do that. So use that voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to ask a question about dreams and spirituality. Dreams and spirituality. And I wanted to see how we should use dreams as part of becoming more spiritual.
Thank you. I'll start with the last question. Dreams will not make you become more spiritual. Your spirituality will make you understand the messages in your dreams better. And your spirituality will establish better communication between you and the divine. Then you will understand. And also, dreaming is reality. What we're doing right now, that's an illusion. Okay. About Islam. Yes, Bookman was the child of a Muslim woman in Jamaica. And it is because this woman was a very revolutionary woman that as punishment, they sold her only child into slavery in Saint-Domingue. So when her child is going, she put a little Quran attached to his clothing. When they tried to take it away from him, he fought and they couldn't take it from the 13-year-old boy. So they decided to burn it on him. So he was all burnt up with the book, which is why to mock him, they called him Bookman. But spirituality is a very powerful thing. He is eventually purchased by Mrs. Beatrice Duty, so became Bookman Duty, the man of the book of our duty. And he is going to give a speech that says, the God who created the sun,
That's right.
the moon, the seas, and make the waves, he is your father. And you have his power in you. Use it. Of course, it's longer than that, but I make a resume, right? So this man comes called Bookman Duty, and he comes and tells us our duty to become free. So, as far as I know, there was no practice of Islam then, even though he began as he was a Muslim when he arrived on the island. Quickly he became a Ungan. So was Cecile Fatima. She had some Islamic background, but became a Mambo. And to put this more into context, 2 years ago, Minister Louis Farrakhan went to Haiti. And one of the things he said, had he been an Haitian, he would never practice any other way but voodoo. Now the last two.
That was going to take from the system. You talk about Islam.
No, it's the same thing.
This video, Islam unfinished.
Did you put your question?
Yeah. That's where I started. Anything that you create, nothing is more important. Learn that. Whatever you create, what is voodoo? Voodoo is the Haitian cosmogony. Africans were kidnapped from Africa and brought to Haiti. There were people from Ifa, the Akan, all different groups. In Haiti, we took all the various practices and rituals and make a brand new one called voodoo. In Cuba, our people took everything that they came in with and made Santeria. In Jamaica, our people took everything we brought from Africa and created Obia. etc., etc., etc. The difference between Haiti and everyone else. We first created our own cosmogony, what is our world view of the cosmos.
Yes.
Then we created our own language to say it in our own way. That's two very powerful tools. Once you did that, then you had your own ways of looking at the world and your own ways of dealing with reality. So you could take any tools on the ground and use it to make your own battle and battle your own way, create your own methodology. That's why Haiti won the battle. In fact, when we will know more of our own R-Street, you will see that Jamaica, there was many more revolutions in Jamaica than there was in Haiti. Cubans fought a lot more. St. Croix, St. Thomas, everybody was fighting for freedom. But Haiti got to victory because Haiti had those two major tools, our own worldview and our own language to express it. That's what gave us the edge. So, what is Voodoo? Our worldview. So in it, there's our philosophy, our vision of anthropology, our sociology, our psychology. Everything is in it, because that's your worldview. And I'll close this way. Don't worry. Don't worry about our brothers and sisters who are into the church, who are yakking. The Bible says, the Bible says, the Bible. Who cares? Sister, I'm talking to you. Tell me what you say. I'd like to hear your opinion.
That's right, yeah.
I'd like to hear your conviction. As long as you're repeating what somebody said, you're not talking. You're making noise. You're just a parakeet. So you cannot argue with a parakeet until this parakeet decides it wants to start thinking and speaking. And in order to speak, you must have convictions. You must know your own feeling, touch your inside, and bring it in your own words, your own way. So, no need arguing with someone. They want to recite, let them recite. When they're ready to stop reciting, we can start talking. Please, let me repeat what Garvey has said to us so many times. You, mighty nation, you can accomplish what you want.
I know you might think it's late and what have you, but you know, it's not every night you come out. Well, some of us do, but not every night you come out for this kind of energy. So, you know, just go home and leave. Just to say, brothers and sisters, we have two African businesses at the back, North Cross Crystals and abangapparel.com, t-shirts, and I think it's many t-shirts at the moment. Brother Shakara and our sisters, North Cross Crystals. So please, before you leave here, check out those. Tenamari. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to now call on the spiritual leader of the Al-Keblan Revivalist Movement. Last year we celebrated 30 years of the Al-Keblan Revivalist Movement. We didn't celebrate it as much as we wanted to, but we certainly acknowledged it. But in the scheme of things, we know it's just a small glitch in the work that we have to do, but it's always good to stop, pause and acknowledge what you've done and what you still need to do. I want to take this opportunity to call forward spiritual leader of the Cabinet Revivalist Movement, Brother Leader Bandaka.
Giving thanks and praises unto God, the creator of the universe, through our great ancestors, for blessing us with such a beautiful and powerful evening.
That's right.
Ashe? Blessed brothers and sisters, be the word that comes from the heart of and the soul of the African. Blessed be our thoughts, our words, and our deeds that are guided to the liberation of our people. And certainly we have been given guidance this evening. Right. Am I right, brothers and sisters? Yeah. We did in our libation evoke the spirits of our great ancestors, and ask our ancestors to empower our sister's spirit and loosen her tongue, so that she could connect with our souls and inspire us this evening. And if she did achieve that, I'm going to ask you to rise to your beautiful royal African feet and let our sister go, brothers and sisters, by the energy that we send in her direction. Give her your love, brothers and sisters. Raise the spirit in the room and let her know how much we appreciate what she has fed us with this evening. Come on, we can do better than that. And so I'm going to ask us all, brothers and sisters, to just bear with me. I'm going to have to move very, very quickly, because once again, we're not controlling time and space, and therefore we don't control circumstances when you don't control time and space. And this space belongs to somebody else. In fact, we've been, as we say in Jamaican parlance, we've been throwing rockstone upon the church this evening, but we're not church. We're for humble ourselves. All we say is true, but part of that reality is that them have them space. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? So they're controlling time, space, and circumstances, and defining time, space, and circumstance for themselves. And while we are through a rock stone, we have to come and humble ourselves and beg them for a little bit more time so we can have and a little bit more space. You know what I'm saying? However, brothers and sisters, let me just take this opportunity as we hail and honor our beloved warrior queen, Mama Bello. We also honor and give respect to Brother Abiola and his organization, who played such a key role in bringing our sister over. Brother Mario, we know Brother Mario very well, who is a real warrior king and has been trotting road for many, many years with us here in Africa, UK. We give thanks and praises once again for our beloved elders, our elder Nkosi and our elder, our Mama Althea, founders of the Black Panther Party UK, who have blessed us with it. Come on, brothers and sisters, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. In the house. In the house. Where's Brother Dallin? Has he gone? Brother Dallin Adolfo, author of Ancestral Spirits. Ancestral Voices, Ancestral Voices. A very important brother in our community. Auntie Jean, take a bow. Auntie Jean is with us this evening, organizing all of those important events that we call the African Culture Market. That's the one. Come on, we can do better than that for Auntie Jean. Sister Jerry of Moyowa Taifa. Where's my beloved Sister Jerry? You know, the firebrand warrior queen. Sister Ambra, the master drummer and dancer. Come on. Who was every year at ALD. If we don't see her anywhere else, we see her at ALD caressing our souls with the rhythm of the drum, brothers and sisters. We are such a blessed people this evening. Do you agree, brothers and sisters? But for all
is said and done. It is what we do with what has been said. It is what we do with the work that people like our beloved Mama Bello and all the other leading members of our community have been doing for many, many years in our community. It's what we do with that work. It's what we do with the energy that she has brought with us this evening. Mama Bello talks about passion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And we need some passion in the work that we are doing with the direction to ensure that we are going in the right direction. Is that right, brothers and sisters? We're going in the right way. But we cannot, as we have been counseled this evening, continue to walk the streets, walk through this world like zombies.
Come on.
We cannot allow the enemy to take our souls, to take our spirits, and reduce us to zombified things, only assuming human form in our physical appearance. But for the African, our humanity is not our physicality. It has never been. It is our spirituality. And spirituality is a living power. You didn't hear me? Spirituality is a living power. It is a transformative power. Is that right, brothers and sisters? It is a productive power. And so if we are not producing, if we're not spiritual, if we are not transforming, we are not spiritual. If we are satisfied with a state of oppression, we are not spiritual. Because no one can train a free spirit. No one can train a free spirit. So if we allow them to incarcerate our spirits, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. I remember, I'll say this very quickly, I remember years ago I was at an ALD event. This was in the late 80s. And a brother came into the event. And on the face of it, we said the brother was mentally deranged. You know, the way he was behaving. You know, shouting, jumping, climbing up on pole and all kind of things. Everybody was worried, health and safety. And the brother came down off the pole and said, freedom, liberation. Seek your freedom and you will find it. Claim your freedom and you will find it. And walk out of the room. And then come back in the room and say, "We not chant freedom, but we not free and not know it." I'm paraphrasing. Words to that effect. We're free and we don't know it. Because what we are supposed to be doing, brothers and sisters, we're not doing it. Are you all with me? Yeah. And here's my last word. There are a few other things I wanted to say to us this evening, but time doesn't allow. But my job is really just to summarize, to put everything together, and to make sure that we are charged with, that we grasp the essence of the message this evening. And we are charged to do something constructive and productive with it. You see, for too long, we have been reduced to consumers. You see me, brothers and sisters? Consuming from our enemies. While our enemies are producing. Papa Garvey said, God made man Lord of creation. This is Marcus Garvey's word. Gave him possession and ownership of the world. And you have been so darn lazy that you have allowed the other fellow to run away with the whole world, and now he's bluffing you and telling you that the world belongs to him and that you have no part in it. I don't have to apologize to anybody for being black, Papa Garvey says, because God Almighty knew exactly what he was doing when he made me black. Why did God Almighty make us the sons and daughters of Africa? The first people of the first land. The creators of the first civilizations. Every people in the world that can claim a civilization owe a debt. Owe a debt to our ancestors. It is still in our DNA, brothers and sisters, to do wonderful, glorious, wonderful, great things. Be as proud of your race today, Papa Garvey, as our mothers and fathers were in the days of yore.
We have a beautiful history and we can create another in the future that will astonish the world. The only thing we're doing astonishing now is giving the best of ourselves to everybody else. Nobody else on the planet does that. That's astonishing. Are you all with me? We have to change that paradigm.
That's right.
Yes.
Right or wrong, brothers and sisters? And so we in the Al-Kavan Revivalist movement are charging us this evening that we have to do something different.
That's right.
Because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Are you all with me, brothers and sisters? We've been marking time for long enough. We are a great people. We have no right to be bringing children into this world without a real passionate commitment to change this paradigm. We are abusing our children when we bring them in this world and we try to impress upon them that what they see is normal. We take them to school and say, just behave yourself and go along to get along. That's abuse. You understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? If we have to take them into the enemy's institutions, we should be working assiduously to create our own. Are you all with me, brothers and sisters? I'm going to leave it there for this evening. Safe to say that we have a number of programs that have been announced. I hope that we're going to see everyone and more. I think perhaps this evening was affected by the tumultuous rainfall that we had today. You know, the rain is a blessing, brothers and sisters, but oftentimes we see it as, you know, a hindrance. I think we would have had even more people this evening, but we give thanks for those who did turn out. Heal yourself. Put your hands and hearts together and heal yourselves, brothers and sisters. And so our next event will be on New Year evening, Thursday evening, remembering that we don't name the days of the week anymore from... okay, isn't it? Okay, all right. So our next event is our Shemira. First Sunday of the month, brothers and sisters, first Umoja Day of the month, because we name the days of the week from the Unguza Saba, the 7 life principles that we celebrate at Kwanzaa. We no longer name the days of the week of European gods, like Sol, and Mona, and Tu, and Woden, and what other one name? Thor, and Freya, and Saturn. We're praising European gods every day. That's right. And the word day is short for deity. So every day we get up, we're calling on a European deity. And we don't even realize it. Are you all with me, brothers and sisters? We've got to redefine time and space and circumstance. We hope to see you on Umoja Day, Sunday, first Umoja Day of the month, where we gather at the African shrine to sing and give praises. We gather at the African shrine, brothers and sisters, to evoke the spirits of our ancestors and to empower our spirits to carry forward the fight for the total liberation of our land and people. Flyers are being given out, brothers and sisters. We see you there on Umoja Day, and I'll just close with the words of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Messiah Garvey, as we give thanks for the presence of Mama Bello and pray for her safe return to Haiti, and that she will be empowered to continue to bond the
African community on the continent that will be like a real African Kemetic nation that will be able to have an impact of the life of our brothers and sisters on the continent and on the global stage. And the second goal of the campaign is, of course, to build connections and relationships here in the UK and on the global stage with our African family. As part of the campaign, we needed to make Mama Bayyinah Bello come to France and then to the UK, and that cost money. And the difficulties we had with the UK embassy was so big that it is a miracle that she is here tonight with us. At the last minute, they asked us to pay £1,100 for super priority visa, they call it. We got it, but we had to pay that extra expense. So there is a saying in Africa that when you see an elder carrying a big burden, you don't have to ask, hey, what are you doing? You have just to help after you ask vacation. So we are asking today asking you to contribute to help us share this burden, carry this burden. So you can talk with our brothers and sisters from Al-Kebulan if you want to contribute. That will be a big, big help. Second part of the announcement is that tomorrow we will be doing a tribute to, paying a tribute to Marcus Garvey. So we'll go to Targaf Road, Kensington, at 11 a.m. So you are welcome to be with us. We will really appreciate. It will be a small ceremony, a few words, a libation, but we think it's very, very, very important. My last message is for Al-Kebulan, because we were at ILD this weekend. Sorry, I will just finish. We were at the Al-Kebulan, at the ILD ceremony this weekend, and Brother Shakara said a thing that I thought very important. He said, we come each year to the ALD as a kind of celebration, but we are in the danger of going into a routine. What is very important is what is happening between those events. And I was wondering, what is happening between those events at Al-Kebulan? I want to see it. So we came and I saw, and I'm very, very pleased, because I think that is putting Pan-Africanism into practice, not just word. I read a book about how to become a champion. And one thing that really made an impression on me was, it was saying that if you want to be a champion, you don't wait for the big game to start training. Yeah. You don't wait to fight against Brazil to start training. You need to start before. You need to act as a champion before being a champion. Right. And what we are building, what Marcus Garvey gave to us, was a plan to build a nation. And we have to act as a nation before becoming a nation. And even if we are small, even if people think we are crazy, we need to have faith. And that means we need to be a nation before becoming the nation. And that is what I saw Al-Kebulan doing. So I just want to say thank you for your patience, as Mama Bayyinah Bello said, and I'm sure, I'm certain that we'll be able to work together in the coming years. Thank you.
As you can see, Brother Mwali is going around with the bowl, Liberation Bro that Brother Abiola spoke about. So if you can give generously, I'm just going to ask if you can all rise as we go into our, say our closing words. And as we do, just a reminder that we do have two stools, one on the side and at the back. So before we leave, if we have a look and hopefully support our African businesses, and we do have refreshments at the back as well. If you can place your left hand on your heart and raise your right hand in the air. Let us remind ourselves to take from here all that we've learned, all that we've gained in knowledge, information, and inspiration, out into the streets, into our personal lives, amongst our families and friends, our places of work, our places of study, wherever we are. Let us remind ourselves to be a shining light unto Africans everywhere. Yeah. The Africans everywhere know that Mwari, Olodumare, Nkulunkulu, Ndume, Sodume, Ama, Eshe, Nobokuwane, the African God, reigns supreme. Let Africans everywhere know that it is a joy to be an African. And let Africans everywhere know that liberation is indeed at hand. Tenamwari, 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 Tenamwari.